Today, I'm with Carla Hannaford. Carla is an internationally recognized science educator and author, and she's going to be talking about her new book, Playing in the Unified Field, Raising and Becoming Conscious, Creative Human Beings. It is full of fascinating science to make us all much more aware of our enormous potential as human beings. Carla, first of all, let me congratulate you on your 4th book. It's really a wonderful book. But can you tell us what you mean by the unified field? What is the unified field?
There's been study on this for actually almost 100 years, and we're starting to really understand it. We're understanding that we are vibrational beings, that we, at the cellular, beyond the cellular, the atomic, the subatomic level, when we start to look at who we really are, we realize that we are vibrational interference patterns rather than matter. We're smeared out groups of vibration, and that we live in a sea of vibration. And within the unified field, we're finding these vibrations affect us from our environment. We know that we have more than 5 or 6 senses. We have 19 senses that Rivlin and Gravel from Princeton University have discovered we have receptor sites for. We're able to take in all these vibrational senses within our body. And we also impact the vibrational field around us and between us with other people. Within this field, we're all connected. There's this wonderful interconnection that happens. And that connection, I think, is really paramount right now as we're looking at how to live our lives. We are far more powerful than we thought we were in our ability to impact our environment, impact our reality. Really, in a way, the book really talks a lot about the fact that we produce our own reality and that we live in this playground that is the earth, in these bodies that we have at the moment for the process of learning. And we draw to us the lessons, the situations through the vibrational field that will cause us to grow the most, and that we are the masters of our reality. And it's really exciting when we start to look at that, because I think in many ways, with a system that has talked about victimization and such, we felt unempowered. And right now, when I look at the research, one of the things we're looking at is a very high level of depression among people worldwide, and a sense of hopelessness and helplessness. But when we can start to look at who we really truly are from a scientific perspective, and looking through the eyes of the current scientists, both in quantum mechanics and people like William Tiller, who's looking at beyond quantum mechanics into reciprocal space-time and deltrons, we're able to see that we really are powerful beings, and that we have all this incredible potential to live our lives fully and passionately the way we want to. And we do that through this unified field that is interrelated with everything else.
Tell us about the electromagnetic waves that are coming from our hearts and our brains. To me, it's such compelling evidence that we don't end at our skin, that we have this capacity to influence one another in subtle ways.
Well, it's very interesting. Again, the HeartMath Institute has been doing this research for a long time, and Roland McCready is one of the main researchers on this. What they discovered is when they put EKGs on people and EEGs on a group of people, when one person became coherent, came to that heart rate variability pattern that was coherent, it affected the heart rate variability pattern of everybody else that was within at least a 6-foot radius of that person, which is pretty remarkable. What else is very important to realize is that it not only affected the coherent pattern within the heart, it affected the coherent pattern in the brain. so that the brain became more coherent, so that it could really understand the situation and grow from that. This is the other thing that we've discovered. In the 1960s, Dr. Amour from Yale University, who is a cardiac anatomist, a cardioanatomist, wrote a very long article in Scientific American saying, this is very interesting, but there are at least 80% more fibers going from the heart to the brain than the other way around. And he speculated at that time that the heart controlled the brain and not the other way around. And of course biologists said, nah, it's just a pump. Well, in the 1970s, there were two major research papers that came out showing that the heart itself produces two very potent hormones. One is atrionatriuretic factor, which controls actually a lot of the hormonal function within the brain and keeps it very harmonious within the body. And the other was cardiac androgenergic factor, which controls dopamine and adrenaline levels. And so here's the heart controlling the brain and controlling how we respond to our environment. So when we're coherent, when the heart's coherent, so is the brain. And, as we've discovered, so are those around us. Now, on a practical level, I see this. You know, I work with a lot of schools and educators and children, but also I notice this when I would read to children. If I was absolutely present reading to that group of children, they were there. They were absolutely there, watching every second, listening to everything I did. But if I'm reading to them and my focus is on, after this I better go to the grocery store and I have a grocery list and I'm doing this and that, the kids are off the wall and they're obnoxious and they're, not present. They're not, if I'm coherent, they're going to be coherent, and they're mirroring me. This is another thing we know. We have mirror neurons in the brain, and our children, and not only our children, but the people around us will do what we do rather than what we say. And so the kindest thing that we can do in our environment is be very coherent and, be coherent so that the people around us are coherent. It makes life a lot easier. We also gain a lot of coherence when we play, when we're absolutely in the moment. And again, play is about being in the moment, being passionately aware, emotionally aware of our environment. And it's so important. In our culture, we say this, been there, done that. That is the stupidest statement, really, because I've never been here before. I've never done this before. I will never be here again like this. Everything is an adventure. Every bit of our life is an adventure. Now, there are times in our life when we are really challenged. When we really are challenged are times when we're probably going to grow the most, and so that they can be some of the most exciting and momentous adventures of our lives.